Fuck you, Saudi Arabia. Nobody's ready for us. I have to return fucking deal. Fucking mindless consumer. I don't know how I could live with myself if I had everything and gave the man nothing. What a selfish. Don't like the language. The better the fucking show is, the less I fucking swear. Mike AD, I'm getting sick of this shit product. I'm Mike AD, and welcome to this month in wrestling, January edition. Well, welcome to 2021, and you know what that means. Oh yeah, this is Canada. We've got a polar vortex coming out of every orifice. Back fucking hurts from shoveling snow, carrying this goddamn internet wrestling community on my back. Yeah, check out these lats. Okay, time to start doing our long-term booking. Just kidding. We'll wait until at least March before we solidify long-term plans. And it was a hell of a month. Being locked down and threatened with fines unless you're going to work. Getting groceries, gas, fucking sucks. What are you doing? I'm putting air in my fucking tire so I can go to work. That is, unless you're a government official. You can do as you please. Anyhow, January was a walk in the park for de facto GM Adam Pearce, who is just trying to do his job by booking matches and does nothing but incur the wrath of the tribal chief. He books a gauntlet match, including Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Daniel Bryan, but Roman's pissed because he thinks he should get his choice of opponent. What a prick this guy is. And somehow, he's able to change the match to include Pearce. Chalk it up to Samoan privilege. And what a match it was. So good, in fact, that it turned Nakamura back babyface. But in the end, Roman interferes and fixes the match so he can get his Infinity Gauntlet on Pearce. But it's not over, because Pearce turns the tables and changes the match because card is subject to change. He then inserts Owens once again into the match, signaling a last man standing match for the Rumble. I mean, the promo work here was just spectacular. Made me believe they had blown their load prematurely and not making this the Mania main event. It was that good. Long and short of it is, Roman wins the match, in which the winner was really the pair of handcuffs that seemed to not want to be unlocked. What a fail that was. Oh, at this rate, they had no plans of taking the title off Roman at all. Hell, we have no idea how long this reigns of terror is going to last. It's too bad. Roman's been really good. On the other side, the show whose ratings seem to drop lower than an old man's balls, it's Raw, who for some reason swapped the WWE Championship to Randy in December, then a few weeks later switch it back to McIntyre. Something tells me this was just for the sake of change. Regardless, unnecessary title switches hurt your champion. So the title goes back on the Scotsman, and he makes a title defense against Keith Lee on TV in a great match. Unfortunate for Lee, because although he's been prominently featured in the title picture, they keep beating him. And his girlfriend, Mia Yim, oh, that's reckoning by the way, got the coronavirus, and now he got sent home for quarantining and misses the Royal Rumble. This guy better return with a good Mania opponent. So the contenders keep on coming, because on Legends Night, Goldberg comes out to challenge McIntyre, saying you don't respect the Legends. Didn't Randy Orton just like bully Ric Flair and threaten a one-legged Mark Henry? And you call Drew disrespectful? The minute this guy comes out, we all get a collective groan and think they're going to put the WWE title on Goldberg again. And this switch came as a surprise, because word was Goldberg was slated to face Roman in a match that he never had. So they put Roman back in there for the third straight month and moved the Hindenburg over to Raw because they forgot to create a contender for Drew. Is this guy asleep? Who's booking this company? A senile old man? Yeah, okay, that's why this is happening. Long and the short of it is, Drew beats Goldberg in the only match Goldberg knows how to have. 5 minutes. Everyone's favorite faction, Retribution, spent the first half of the month beating the shit out of Ricochet. Then Rico disappeared and they spent the next few weeks beating the crap out of Xavier Woods because Kofi broke his jaw. It's nice to see how they really see Mr. Up, Up, Down, Down. It's down for the count. They finished the month. the same way they started it. Nobody cares and nobody's more over. Nice follow-up. Everyone's favorite babyface Sheamus can't decide if he wants to dry hump McIntyre, hug Keith Lee, or beat the shit out of him. Meanwhile, Matt Riddle is just being portrayed as an eccentric stoner who gets his ass kicked by Lashley. That's not how you build up your contender. Same with Jeff Hardy, who spent the entire month teasing some kind of Hardy Bros team that never materialized, then tapping out to Lashley. So after you continue to beat Riddle clean, you put him in a gauntlet match to get another shot. And then they beat him decisively. Makes zero sense. Oh, by the way, Charlotte's back, and predictably, she appears as the mystery tag partner for Asuka because Charlotte only comes back for one reason, to put another notch on her championship belt list. They won the titles, but this supposed team spends more time in singles matches than in actual tag matches, and Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion, and she has no contenders whatsoever. Then it gets weird. On Legends Night, because Vince's response to falling ratings isn't to change the product, it's to bring back old guys. Ric Flair begins to turn against his daughter and starts aligning himself with Lacey Evans. Just add loss by roll-up due to Ric Flair to the distraction of stupid finishes. Okay, are they actually insinuating that Rick is giving the goods to Lacey Evans? Oh my god. And because Vince isn't subtle, he just continually takes it into overdrive. Charlotte loses almost every match because Lacey and her sugar daddy. Oh, well, this came to a head at the Royal Rumble where Lacey uses the loaded women's right to rob the unlikely duo of their tag titles and put them back on Jax and Baszler. It was a bad month if you were a tag team, period. You know, newly minted tag champs, the Hurt Business, can't decide if we're going to get along or not. They can't get along either. Can't we have one unified faction, one team on the same page? And the new women's tag champ, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, just continue to argue. But that doesn't stop them from putting a perpetual beating on Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Oh, it was a bad month for Randall Keith Orton. He starts out the month as WWE champion, but then after a cup of coffee loses it back to Drew for no reason at all. And after burning the Fiend to a crisp, and I mean burn a man to a cinder, he himself is burnt to a crisp by the human flamethrower herself, Alexa Bliss. Confused? It's not over. This was the main event of Raw most nights. People setting other people on fire, people asking others to set other people on fire, people changing clothes in the middle of matches, riding giant wooden horses, and other assorted shenanigans. Is this Monday Night Raw or the Sixth Sense? Thankfully, this didn't lead to Bliss beating Asuka for the women's title, but Bliss eating an RKO, chalk one up for equality. Randy's bad luck just continues on through to the Royal Rumble where he draws number 2 and then he loses anyways. Okay, if you're Daniel Bryan, it was really bad, and he kept losing firstly in a gauntlet, then to Cesaro, a guy who conveniently gets a push, then declares for the Royal Rumble. That seems to be Bryan's function, to put his hands in the air and get you all hyped up for his eventual loss. This is par for the course for the company who loves to beat a guy into submission before he wins the big one. Can't anyone have a sustained positive momentum? Makes him a loser, and then you give him the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then you let him lose until he cashes in. Oh, it makes perfect sense. If you're Ricochet or Drew Gulak, you have to qualify to get in the Rumble. But if you're a top guy, you can just declare. Then Ricochet just appears at the Rumble even though he lost the qualifier. You're not supposed to think about it. And what's the point of declaring who's number 1, number 2, or number 30? Part of the mystique of the Rumble is wondering who's going to come out. In the era of zero crowd reaction, at least let us have something. And January wasn't all bad, because if you're Big E, you started the year beating Sami Zayn for the IC title. He's had some great matches on TV with Apollo Crews. Good to see everyone isn't in catering. Meanwhile, since the loss, Sami has resorted to protesting all of Big E's matches and invites everyone to stand against moral injustice. It's just great. Am I the only one that loves the wrestle justice warrior Sami Zayn? That's why he's on the show. He may look like a fat Fidel Castro, but he's good at what he does. And the month ends on a high note with everybody's favorite underdog, Edge, showing up on Raw 6 days before the Rumble, declaring himself for the match, cutting a blistering promo and making everyone change their Rumble picks. He then goes pillar to post and wins the whole damn thing. I guess you all heard the rumors about the possible finishes to this match being a nightmare. WWE brings out the eternal cynic in all of us, but it made me wonder what horrors awaited inside the demented mind of Vince McMahon and what could have been. Pat Patterson used to book some of the greatest Rumbles in history, and now that he's no longer with us, we're in for some lean times, and I was expecting the worst. Bianca Belair began her ascent to the women's main event by disposing Bayley on TV and winning the Women's Royal Rumble match that had a great finish with all the right players involved. It looks like the Street Profits are stuck in limbo with the Dirty Dogs, the newly minted random team of Ziggler and Bobby Roode, because there's no teams left. They ditched the Roode Superior music and turned Bobby into a bad impersonation of Dolph. Think SmackDown Tag Division is weak? Raw is worse. Breaking news. Peter Rosenberg is the 24/7 champion. Say that twice. Billie Kay has spent the last few weeks lost like a puppy dog, trying to pass her headshots around and find a new tag partner. Nowadays, she's switching allegiances more than the Big Show. Eventually, she'll just end up without a seat in the never-ending game of musical chairs. This is WWE. Unfortunately, Vince took away the only place she belonged, and now she's Marty Jannetty. Just don't kill anyone, okay? Attention, attention, have you seen this man? His name is Aleister Black, a highly talented wrestler booked into irrelevancy. Been missing since at least October, last seen asking to be going back to NXT. Also missing Humberto Carrillo, Buddy Murphy, Eric from the Viking Raiders, Tucker Knight, Andrade. I mean, having your dick in Charlotte seems to be getting you zero favors through osmosis. You're gonna have to go to Vince's office, and you're not getting a reach around. Maybe you need to pull a Randy and slap the writers with your cock. And if Bad Bunny is getting more ring time than you got problems. About to join him is Carmella because it's crowded at the top, but that sommelier Reggie, he's going places. I think through tables. Angel Garza makes periodic appearances playing a Latino Lothario and just conveniently disappears. And AJ Styles, you've teamed up with Moses Hightower in the most unlikely pairing since Schwarzenegger and DeVito. How bloody tall is this guy? As long as he's big, that's all that matters, right? Who gives a shit that he can't work? Just for comparison, Vince thinks Keith Lee doesn't know how to work as a big man. He should be thankful that he can work at all. Remember that non-stop procession of greased-up gorillas in the early 2000s? You know the ones that made the line at the pharmacy rival the loudness war, and on top of it all, they still couldn't work. Vince is obsessed with these guys. They can virtually block the sun, but can't escape a paper bag. Anyhow, it's only a matter of time before Omos or Omos betrays AJ, and this guy gets between the ropes instead of peering over them. Sooner or later, this beneficial relationship for AJ is gonna sour, and this big man's gonna get exposed. So that's it for January. As we head into February and the annual slog towards WrestleMania, get ready for storylines to be inexplicably stopped, old guys to be pushed to the top of the card, and younger, more dynamic, better workers relegated to a freaking battle royal. Will they give up this stupid retribution angle that is crushing guys like Dominik Dijakovic and Shane Thorne into the unending catering line of history? Or will they bury it, forget it, and re-debut Old 44 like it was never part of this brutal faction? It's also time for more NXT call-ups because we just can't seem to utilize the talent that we have now. More toys for Vince. Huh. And is The Fiend ever going to re-debut? I mean, he's so badly burned he's going to go to reincarnate as Justin Trudeau. Regardless, it's going to be an interesting February with all that haphazard booking that's going to have to go along because we got a pay-per-view to fill in a few weeks' time. Don't like the hair? It's called failure to use Propecia. Don't like the set? It's 2 speakers and a piece of plastic. Don't like the fact that I'm back? It's called an ego. I'm feeding it. Don't like my analysis? Lots of people have a problem with the truth. Just remember, I'm only a security guard. I just observe and report. So until the next time, I just quit, get cancelled, or decapitate a customer with a stalk of celery, you can count on me to be an honest, sexy motherfucker. I'm Mike AD. See you next month. Maybe.